is for what I do, if you possibly can, invite me into your home on Zoom so that I can talk to you and your children and your grandchildren.
How'd the boat do today?
And, well, I hope I can report on it. Like I said, I want to get into everyone's home.
Was Pat saying he's a redneck? Is that what that was?
That's what he said. Let's see your Dorito tattoos, Jeff. You have Dorito tattoos on your feet?
It's funny. I put sunscreen everywhere except, I don't know, can you see my, oh, you're not going to see it. I got triangles on the top of my feet where I was wearing my Chacos and didn't put sunscreen on my feet.
Is this that boat you made, Jeff?
It is, yeah.
That was beautiful
Yeah,
boat.
several of us were out on the lake today. Yeah, I went out on my sailboat. Well, thank you.
Fun.
It was a hot day today in Tennessee. It's one of the hottest days we've had. So
How hot?
well, not
92.
crazy by Tennessee standards, like in the 90s, mid 90s, but we've had unseasonably cool weather here, and it was it was just a usual Tennessee summer day, hot.
Patrick, when you leave for your California trip, I'm coming to steal your boat.
And we went to the store.
Stop it.
That was one of the things they did. And it seemed to me like every Sunday she was inviting us home for dinner, and we didn't want food. Amanda was just a wonderful person. She was a life in the party, and I'm grateful that I have that memory, and I'm trying to share that with those of you who didn't have this privilege, you know. One story that I want to tell is that I guess most of you know that man died. What man died?
This microphone. Come stand next to the microphone.
Can all of you hear me?
People on Zoom cannot hear you.
Okay.
People on the computer. So come stand here and still be loud.
Okay. So just like
Right about there. Yeah. Okay. You talk loud.
okay, Amanda died of Alzheimer's, and so Grandpa West took care of her for years. And what he would do is he had a cot in the kitchen that she laid on. He had a mat that he laid on, and he had his hand on the cot that she was on. Every time she woke up in the middle of the night, he would take care of her. Many years, well, not many, but some years after that, I told Grandpa West, I said, that was such a wonderful thing that you did. He said, she's a wonderful woman. I think that's, oh, now, Greg, no, Kevin is next, that's right.
Okay, I'm not known for my loud voice, so I'll try to do my best here. But, Grandpa West was always real well known for the stories that he would tell. And he would tell this big stories often. And one Sunday, we decided that we both to visit with Grandpa and had him tell some of the stories into our tape recorder. And so I had a tape recorder recording some of these stories. And as we were leaving that night, we were out, my tape was full, we were out at the car, and Grandpa said, I have one more story that I want to tell. And it was a story that I had never heard before. And I'd like to see if any of you heard this story as well, because this was the only time I ever heard it. And this is a story about his grandmother, Grandma Boyle. This would be Mother West's mother. And Grandpa Boyle, as you know, worked for the railroad. down in
Richfield.
Richmond. They did down in Richmond. And one day, when they had a large family at this point, Grandpa Boyle said, I'm going to work on the railroad and I'll be back in time for Christmas. And so he left working on the railroad, and Grandma Boyle, Margaret, she was at home with, I don't know how many children she had at this point, but I know they had a lot of children. Christmas came and went, she decided, well, he's not coming, I want to find him. So she put all of her children in the back of a wagon and started to follow the railroad to try to find Grandpa Boyle. And back in those days, the families of the railroad workers would build a cabin on the side of the railroad track. And they would like to do it there because when the trains went by, the engineers would accidentally, on purpose, drop coal off the side of the railroad track so that the families that lived along there could heat their homes. And so she was following this railroad track and this road, trying to find Grandpa Boyle somewhere. And this was after Christmas. It was in the middle of the winter time, and a snowstorm set in. And pretty soon the snow got so deep that the horse refused to pull the wagon any further. So she bundled up the baby, put it under the seat of the wagon. All the children were bundled in their coats in the back of the wagon. She got out of the wagon and started to lead the horse along the trail. And she probably did this for hours and finally came to one of these cabins that was built on the side of the railroad track. And by this time she was nearly, exhausted, frozen. She knocked on the door and basically collapsed inside the cabin. Well, there were several families that lived in this cabin, and they brought her in. They brought all the children in, and got the family warmed up and let Grandma Boyle rest. Finally, when she came to, she looked around the cabin and said, and Grandpa telling this story, of course he did it in his Scottish accent. She said, "Where's my wee bear?" Which means, "Where's my little baby?" And what they felt really fine was that baby was still under the seat of the wagon. And did anybody remember this story? Remember?
I've heard that
Okay.
version, but I've heard like they went down Cold War, is where they ended up. But
I don't.
I don't know that, I haven't heard about the railroad.
Anyway, this is how I remember, and that's why I wanted to try to verify. Anyway, so they brought the baby in thinking that the baby was probably dead. But the families that lived there nursed the baby back to health. And they stayed there for several days, weeks, long enough for the sun to gain their strength. Long enough for the snowstorm to pass. And when they got ready to go, the families that lived in this wagon would not let her have the baby, because they said that for her, the baby had been dead and they had brought it back to life. And so they were refusing to let her have the baby and leave her with it. And so she finally came up with a compromise. And that was that she would name that baby, with a girl, after everybody in that cabin. And so that baby had like 13 names. And Grandpa said this was her name. And it seems like it started with Patricia. And then after that, I don't know. The rest of the name. And I just was hoping that somebody could tell me what those names were for that child. That Grandpa said that every time they got together with their cousins, they always had to pay special attention to this one cousin who was named Patricia. So that's the story. And I'm just hoping that somebody could verify to me that I wasn't making that up. That's something that I could remember from Grandpa.
Yeah, I heard about the same story and then how she has been named all these different names. He said that Grandma was, she was so nice, she'd name them after her. They had such a long name. We should look at it, see if we can figure out.
I've looked at that genealogy, and there are some younger daughters towards the end of the family, but there's no hint as to which daughter that
Yeah.
would have been. So,
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it never got.
not a quick name. Yeah. Okay, well, that's.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Does anyone else have some stories about Grandma and Grandpa West? Or any family stories that you would like to share?
I think Shirley had one. She wanted to tell. Shirley, the wife,
Oh,
Bill.
Well, that was the one about the hospital. That you told earlier.
the hospital. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they were called candy stripers back then. I think that's what they were called. Because they wore aprons that looked like candy stripes. I want to thank all of you for coming. This is. It's really good to see you coming. I'm hoping we can get back together again next year, and I hope there's 3 times as many. So stay as long as you like and have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you to David for everything and to Rosie for the food and thank you for all you've done at Davey. Dave. Well, we've done too. Thank you.
Thanks for everybody's help.
One thing I'd like to add, over here at the high chair that my mother and father bought for our firstborn Wanda. And we've had it in our home since 1920. So that's the actual high chair right there. All of our kids, Wanda, me and Jack, have all standing there before me. And then when our grandkids came, we put it there. Then when the great grandkids, put it there. But I'm amazed that they could hold it that long. So that's the actual high chair we, when the father bought it.
I have something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Amanda knitted all the time. She knitted slippers for us and mittens that we put through our coats, the mittens that came down. And I have a picture here of, it was taken in Grandma and Grandpa's shed or little cathedral that they had in the backyard. And I was looking at this picture of me, and I'm wearing a sweater. I still have this little sweater that I knitted for me when I was a little girl, so I brought this sweater to show.
Could you put it up so they could see too? I'll just share the picture too.
Where's the camera? So I'm sitting right there, my brother and my mom and dad, and this is the little sweater that Grandma knitted that I still have. So it was kind of fun.
Any,
How many of you remember all the cute little scooters and tricycles Grandpa had in the back there? You guys remember the scooters and going around the block? And I remember Grandma Amanda walking us around the block. And Grandpa always had his root beer and that homemade root beer, but then he also had soda pop downstairs. And I can still hear it clicking those steps. Anybody can remember that click as you walk up and down those steps that didn't have carpet? And, I remember one day being at Grandma and Grandpa's, and my brother and I, Kelly and I were sitting on the floor, and I was being a bratty sister, poking up and making him cry. And Grandma would be down and say, "Christy, you are the limit." Yeah. The scooters were made out of old roller skates. Yeah, 2x4s and roller skates. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
We understand by the cameras. We can't see, we want to see.
97 years there.
Where do you want me to stand?
There, that's perfect.
Oh dear. Anyway. My first husband and I were married about 3 or 4 years when he just took on. So my mother and dad, one morning, Sunday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, they moved me and my 2 children physically into their house. It was about a block away where we were living. I was going to help them. I got up at 6 in the morning. They had already moved all of my stuff into their house. Never knowing I would be there for 13 years. So I remarried. But that's the kind of parents I had. They were always there to help anybody that needed help.
even though we didn't express it, because they were still there. But anyway, that's my turn. Thank you, Luana. Okay, then I've got a demonstration of how Zoom works. And these are some of my children. And we're gonna start with, I've told them that everybody who lives out of town, my family, can talk about themselves on Zoom. So we're gonna start with Stephen Lifford, who lives in Cornersville, Utah. Stephen, are you there?
Cornersville, Tennessee. We're here.
Okay. And introduce yourself.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am Stephen Lifford. I am the fourth in line of David and Mary Lifford, and David H. Lifford and Shirley Lifford are my grandparents. And this is my wife, Haley. Hello. And we have Grayson, who is 7. We have Sullivan, who is 5. Bodie, who is 3. And Charlotte here, who turns 1 tomorrow. And we live in Cornersville, Tennessee. We moved to Tennessee last November from Utah. And it's been, good to be here, good to be around family, and we've liked it a lot.
Next. Yep, I think you're on.
I'm next in line. Okay, I am Jeff. I am David and Shirley's third child, and I'm married to Kathleen. We have 5 kids. We live in Tennessee. We've been here for 20 plus years, and I got 5 kids. My oldest, John and Emily, are about to have my first grandchild any day, and I think that's it. Great to be with you guys.
Dan's there.
Who is
If
next?
Dan's not on, isn't John on next?
Yeah, John's up.
I'm John Lifford, son number 5 of David and Shirley. This is Laura Lynn, my wife, and Ethan and Carson, and my daughter Ellie's not home right now.
I'm Darren Lifford, David and Shirley's number 6 child, and by far the favorite. My family's not on the call right now, but I married Sarah Rosa. We live in Brentwood, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. We have 6 kids. They're all about 3 years apart. It's Aberdeen, Madison, Savannah, Sydney, Jack, and Logan. And we lived in Asia for 7 years, but came back during the pandemic. We love being back in Tennessee. So I think I'm gonna turn over to Chris now.
I'm Christopher Lifford. I'm number 7 of David and Shirley's children. My wife and our 5 boys live in Smyrna, Tennessee. It's about 30 minutes east of Nashville. And I'm just gonna let all my family tell you their names.
I'm Julie.
I'm Landon.
I'm Parker.
How old are y'all?
I'm 15.
I'm 13.
All right.
Taylor is in a different room. He's 11.
Taking
My name is Maddox and I'm 8 years old. And I'm 4 years.
He's almost 1.
Graham is named after Mary Graham. We really loved her story. So that's where he got his name. And I just wanted to mention to everyone that we've had a lot of people praying for me and my family. I've been diagnosed with colon cancer. So just wanted to express our gratitude for all those who have been praying for us. So thank you very much.
I'm actually 22. Sorry for the mix up.
Oh, I think, is our family up next? My brother Josh, right above me, is a nurse, so he's probably sleeping or working. But I am Shauna Lifford Zarowski. I am David and Shirley Lifford's 9th child. My husband Jeremy and I, we live in Nolansville, Tennessee. We have almost 8 children. We'll have our 8th baby in September. Our oldest, Clara, is 13. She's babysitting tonight. She's not home. And then we have,
Zoe,
how old are you, Zoe?
I'm 12.
And then we have,
I'm Thaddeus and I am 9. I'm about to turn 10 in July 29th. I'm I'm Violet Sophie Zarowski and I'm 8.
and then we have Olivia. I don't know where Olivia is. She's 6.
Olivia, no, she's 7.
Nope,
She's 6.
And then we have, who are you?
Val
This is our Valderie,
and I breathe.
and she's 3. And our baby Joshua,
He's 1.
he is 1. He'll be 2 next month, and he is already in bed. He takes after Grandpa Lifford. He likes to sleep, so he's in bed sleeping. And that's us.
So our youngest daughter is Shayla, and for some reason, she's not on there.
Can I make a request of everyone? If you're on Zoom, can you mute your phone and then come off of mute when it's your turn to introduce your family? We've got a display here that whoever's speaking is displayed on the projector. And so if you can mute until it's your turn to speak. But we had a request of everyone else that's on Zoom to also introduce yourself and your family, so everyone here in the cultural hall can see you and get to know you a little bit better. So Tana, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Tana. I'm also 22. And this is Andy. He is passing a kidney stone. And this is Ellie. Ellie's our youngest. She is 26 and she just became a police officer in training. And then we have Bradley, who's 28, and he is not here. So that's us. It's nice to see all of you.
Who's next? Ernie, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Ernest. I'm number 5 from Henry and Wanda. I live in Columbus, Indiana. Our oldest son, Sean, lives up in Oregon. He lives up in the mountains right now, and he comes down to the valley for working at a restaurant as chef there. You've met Sheree there this evening, and they have 4 children. Jens lives in Indiana, also Jens and Lucy and their family, and then Ernest Dane and Clarissa and Bella all in Rexburg, Idaho. The next one is Austin and Aaron. They live in Noblesville, Indiana, about 60 miles north of here. And they have 4 children, Megan, Abigail, Tristan, and Bryce. Megan, Abigail, Bryce, and Vance. And then the next one is August. August and Kate live in Georgia, and they have 3 children, Lincoln, Lucas, and Lena. And then our youngest, Micheline, lives up in Alaska, Micheline and William, and they have Jonah got married last year. Jonah and Grace live in Rexburg, and then there's London, Brick, Henry, Eli, and little Elsie. And that's the Indiana Lifford family.
Thank you. Do any of you have family that you can have?
Well,
get on
that's
Zoom?
and Sally, is any West or Ernie, any Ernie? Sandy wants to go.
Dad, you tell, you direct to go next.
Sandy?
Yes.
Sandy, can you be next? Sandy, can you come on and tell about your family?
Did you say Sandy? Because I don't think she's on anymore.
Okay, she may not be.
Now Sally's on there.
Yeah, get Sally. She looks intense. Love.
Okay. I'm Sally Jensen. I am Henry and Wanda's 11th child. This is my husband, David, and we have a combined family of 11 kids, and we have 26 grandkids scattered all over from Milwaukee or Minnesota to Utah to Hawaii and Canada and around here. So, and it's good to see everybody.
I think that's it.
Did we miss anyone?
What? That's all I have.
Grandma, introduce yourself.
David, see if there's anyone else on there that hasn't been to this talk.
I can hear you.
Anyone else that wants to talk?
Oh.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, now Mark had something to say. Yeah, Mark, it's your turn.
Thanks, Emily. You asked if anyone else wanted to say anything on Zoom.
Hello, everybody.
Let me get the camera. Sit right. Stay where you are.
Stay right there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, you could turn a little bit, but
All
you're
right.
in a great place.
Well, I'm Mark West. I am the second son of John and Marlene West. John is the second child of John and Amanda West. I'm here with my daughter Adriana and her husband Aaron and their baby Vanders, and my son Devin, or Mark Devin, and his wife Randy, and his 4 kids. And so my 2 oldest daughters, they're up in Oregon, and my one daughter was on the road just recently, so I know she's not going to get on the Zoom call, but she's got 5 kids, and her and her husband live up there in Pleasant Hill, Oregon. And my second daughter, Aubrey, and her husband Matt, they live. There's one house between them up there, and they're in the same street, and so she's got 4 kids, and so that's about all of us. And I think Rochelle was there. There's Rochelle. I don't know, Rochelle, did you want to say anything on the?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And Greg, my oldest brother, Greg, he and his wife are on a mission in Santa Rosa, California, and they couldn't make it because they are finishing their mission probably in 2 weeks. So anyway, that's all I had. Thank you.
I served in Santa Rosa, California also.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, they serve in the mission home, and then they also transport missionaries back and forth from the airport and check on their apartments to see if they're clean and all that.
Yes.
Beautiful mission.
I just got a hold of David Gage. My grandson, David Gage, works at John Hopkins, actually in Florida.
Okay, I'm Rosie, that's my nickname, but I'm actually Rochelle West. My Gordon is my married name. I'm a widow. And I just came to say that Marla and Blake, they had to work on Blake's house. They wanted to come, but
Thank you.
And then we have Keith's kids up there. Did you talk yet? Your children, you? One at Brent.
I'm Christy West Swain. My dad and mom are Keith and Marge right here. I'm the fourth of their 5 children. I have my husband Mark right here. We celebrated 39 years 2 weeks ago. And we have a daughter, Rebecca, and she has a wife, Crystal, and they live in Bend, Oregon. And we have a daughter, Rachel, that works or lives just in Woods Cross, pretty close to us. So that's us.
Just jumped in.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brett Palmer. I am Luana West, Grandma Luana Chapman, her grandson. My father is Terry Palmer. I live in Salt Lake. I have 4 children, 1 in Boston and 3 here in Utah, 2 ready to go down to the Y in the fall. Anything else I'm missing, Grandma? Anything else I'm missing? That's it. Pretty simple. Yeah, I'll leave that out.
Hi. Do we just jump in here?
Yes.
All right. I am Natalie West Shirts. We live in Tifton, Georgia. And this is my husband, Jack, and there are 5 boys in here somewhere. I don't know if you, oh, there's the other one. And I don't know what to
So
say about it.
what's your connection with the family then?
Oh, I am Kevin and Chris's oldest daughter. My grandpa is Keith. So
Okay.
that's who we are.
What's your boys' names? We have 5 boys also.
Spencer is 6, Hiram is 8, Tanner is 10, Clayton is 12, and Jackson is 14. Good names.
How far are you away from Atlanta, Georgia?
We're 3 hours from Atlanta, and we're 3 hours from my parents, from Kevin.
Okay, because our son August lives in Newnan, Georgia, which is closer to Atlanta.
Yes, my brother lives in Newnan. Good to see you all. Bed now.
Gonna finish the game that we were playing.
Who was it that lived in Noonan besides? I'll change the camera.
Our son August lives in Newnan, August and Kate.
Okay. Yeah, our son lives in Noonan as well. Our oldest.
What they live in Newnan, Georgia?
Exactly, yes. Noonan is our stake center, actually.
Okay. So well, we'll have to get the connection there. So our son can look up your
Your
son.
son may be in our stake.
All right.
Okay.
That's great to know.
Yeah. So anyway, our oldest son, Bentley, he and his wife, the 2 sons live in Noonan, Georgia. They have 2 boys, Anderson and Archer. And they are at the beach right now. So we are going to see from there. Then we have Natalie, who you just heard from, and her 5 boys. So far, she kind of that's 7 grandsons. Then we have a daughter who lives in Hastings, Nebraska. She has 3 girls. Those are our only granddaughters. And then we have Ryan, who is here. And his wife, everybody's asking, where's Cherise? She's at her cousin's wedding in Arizona this weekend. So she could make it. And then we have Amy, who is a student at BYU. She just got married in December. And she is working at the MPC. It's a mission president training this week. And so she's very busy with that. She and her husband both work at the MPC. So they've been working long hours all week long. So unfortunately, she was not able to make it. So that wraps it up for us. And we're in Georgia, and we plan on staying in Georgia. We like it.
You know, if David's on yet?
I think Dan's gonna try to.
I didn't introduce myself earlier. I just told about my sweater, but I'm the second daughter or second child of Keith and Marjorie West. I'm one of the K's. So there's Kevin, Kayleen, Kim, Christy, and Kelly. I live in Pleasant Grove, just up the street. I have two boys, one's in Pocatello and one's down in Moab. And then I have a daughter, Abby, that's over here. Come say hi. And two of her kids are with the other grandma, but this one is her youngest. So that's us.
David Gates is he's on now.
I don't see him. Oh, yeah, I do see it. Okay. Tell him to unmute.
Yeah, we're here. We're here. So I'm David Gage. I have my wife, Lindsay Gage. We are, well, I'm the oldest grandson of David Liffert, and we have 4 children. This is my oldest son, Will. Will, can you say hi? And we have 2 twin girls who are 4, and then we have a 10-month-old, but they're in bed right now. And we currently are living in Baltimore, Maryland.
Are you doing your residency now or?
Yes, yeah. So I'm at Johns Hopkins. I'm doing interventional radiology residency right now. So I have another 2 years and then I'll be done.
Wow. Oh, good. Then where are you going?
Wherever I can get a job. So after that, yeah, it's kind of up to us. We're trying to figure out where
Tennessee.
we've thought about it. Yeah, we've
All-
thought about
all
it.
of-
So we'll see what happens.
All of David's patients call him Dr. McDreamy.
I don't know about that. Shauna's embellishing.
Can Brent get on now? Dan is trying to connect. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Brent's right here too. He can hop on.
Go ahead, Brent.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi, Brent.
Hi. Oh, I need to introduce me. Oh, sorry. Tell them where you're. Sorry, I just popped in. I didn't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm Brent. I am the second son of Dawn and Lara. I am married to Kaylee. We have 2 kids. One of them is 4 and the other is 15 months. We are currently living in Fremont, California. I am a lawyer working in venture capital.
Dan get on there. Ask it.
Thank you, Brent. Hey, Dan, can you go next? Unmute.
Dan is the most disobedient child, just so everyone knows.
Dan, you can unmute and talk to us.
Sandy's back too. We missed her.
Oh, yeah. Well, until Dan decides he wants to talk, Sandy, can you introduce your family? Sandy, you're on mute.
I'm unmuted myself, right?
Okay.
Okay, I'm Sandy. I'm the 7th child of Henry and Wanda. I'm married to Gary Johnson. We have 6 children, 5 daughters, 1 son, 22 grandkids, and 1 great-grandchild. And we live in Minersville, Utah. Did you hear that?
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Dan said he's having technical difficulties.
Is that part of the?
Could be. Well, while we're waiting, I'll say a couple things. I'm David Lifford. I'm my dad, David Lifford's son. So I'm Grandma Wanda's oldest grandson. And my wife is married. She's the one introducing everyone and getting their contact information. We have 5 children. We had 2 of them were here earlier. No, one that was here earlier, and one that was online for a second. They've gone now. But our oldest son lives in Casper, Wyoming. Amanda lives in Saratoga Springs. They were here earlier. Andrew, he's currently living with us in Eagle Mountain while we're saving some money for a down payment on a house. Stephen introduced himself earlier. He's from Cornersville, Tennessee. And then our young son, Michael, he and his wife, Lexi, have a baby named Prue, and they live also in Eagle Mountain. We've tried to set an example of putting that online on the Facebook page. There's a Facebook page for the West family, and I encourage each of you to post a picture or a video introducing yourself so we can have it for longer term. We can all remember faces and names and what's going on in everyone's lives. This is being recorded, and so when it's finished, I'll upload it to that same Facebook page and go back and watch through it for people that you're looking for, and names and places and things like that. Any questions? Any technology questions? Any math questions? Okay. Dan, are you online yet? Apparently not. Okay, it's 7:30 now, process check. I would just keep visiting as long as you can.
Now, I finished everything I had to say.
Okay, I'm dropping off. Good night, everyone. Great seeing everyone.
Love you.
See you later.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Love you.
All right, love you. Bye.
Good night. Bye, everybody. See ya. Oh, at the end. And leave.
All right, it's bedtime for us. Good night, everyone.
Hi,
Great
good
see
to see
everyone.
everybody. Tana, tell Andy I hope he feels better. So
He is-
sorry.
I will. He says
You're
thank
a
you.
trooper. You're a real trooper. And Shirley, good luck on your surgery on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be praying for you, Shirley.
Mhm.
We're gonna sign off too. Love you
Okay.
all. Have a great
you.
day. Have a great night.
You
See
too.
ya.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got started like last week. Yeah. I don't believe in that. Then they go back to open it. Yeah. Yeah. No, we talked that you're not. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'll say it.
Michelle, can I have your attention, please? Can everybody donate $1 for the paper goods? Michelle spent $30, so we'd like to encourage. Michelle?